Lisa walked down the busy street, her bag heavy on her shoulder after another long day at the community center. The afternoon sun painted everything in golden light, and people hurried past her, everyone lost in their own world. She had been working there for 3 years now, helping newcomers settle into the city. But today felt different somehow. As she turned the corner toward her favorite sandwich shop, something caught her eye. There, sitting perfectly still on the old wooden bench outside the public library, was a woman who looked completely out of place. Not in a bad way, but in a way that made Lisa stop and look twice. The woman had the palest skin Lisa had ever seen, almost like moonlight. Her eyes were unusually large and dark, the kind that seemed to hold secrets. She wore a simple gray dress that hung loosely on her thin frame. Her long black hair fell straight down her back like a waterfall. But what really struck Lisa was how absolutely motionless she sat, while everyone else rushed around her. Talking on phones and checking the time, this woman just sat there watching. She wasn't reading a book or scrolling through her phone like most people waiting somewhere. She was simply observing the world around her with an intensity that was both fascinating and heartbreaking. Lisa found herself slowing down, pretending to look at her phone while stealing glances at the stranger. The woman's posture was perfect, almost regal, but there was something fragile about her too. She held herself like someone trying very hard not to take up too much space in the world. A group of teenagers walked by, laughing loudly, and Lisa noticed how the woman's eyes followed them with what looked like curiosity mixed with longing. It was the same look Lisa had seen on the faces of people who had just arrived in the country, trying to understand a culture that felt foreign to them. The woman's clothes, while clean, looked worn. Her shoes were simple black flats that had seen better days, and Lisa noticed how she kept her hands folded tightly in her lap, as if she was holding herself together through sheer willpower. Lisa checked her watch. She had been standing there for almost 10 minutes, and the woman hadn't moved at all, not even to shift positions or stretch. It was as if she existed in a different timeline from everyone else, moving at a pace that belonged to another world. Entirely, a businessman bumped into the bench while talking loudly on his phone, and the woman flinched slightly. But instead of looking annoyed like most people would, she looked almost apologetic, as if she felt bad for being in his way. This small gesture tugged at something deep in Lisa's chest. Lisa had always been drawn to people who seemed lost or out of place. Maybe it was because she remembered her own first days in this city, when everything felt overwhelming and strange. Or maybe it was just who she was, someone who noticed the quiet ones. The ones who sat in corners and watched the world go by. The woman's eyes swept across the crowd again. And for just a moment, they met Lisa's. There was something ancient and sad in that gaze, but also intelligent and kind. The woman looked away quickly as if she hadn't meant to make contact, but Lisa felt that brief connection like a small electric shock. Lisa found herself wondering about this stranger's story. Where had she come from? What was she doing sitting alone on a bench in the middle of the day? Was she waiting for someone, or was she just trying to find her place in this busy world? The way the woman observed everything around her reminded Lisa of someone studying a foreign language, trying to decode meanings and patterns that didn't quite make sense yet. She watched how people greeted each other, how they walked, how they interacted with the world around them. So she was taking mental notes on human behavior. A mother pushing a stroller passed by, and Lisa saw the woman's face soften with what looked like homesickness. Expression was so vulnerable and raw that Lisa had to look away for a moment. Whatever this woman's story was, she was clearly far from home and feeling it deeply. The lunch crowd was starting to thin out and still. The woman sat there, patient as a statue. Lisa wondered if she had anywhere to go, anyone waiting for her. The thought that she might be completely alone in this big city made Lisa's heart ache, as Lisa finally forced herself to continue walking toward the sandwich shop. She couldn't shake the image of those dark, searching eyes. There was something about this mysterious woman that felt important, though Lisa couldn't put her finger on what exactly. She just knew that their brief moment of eye contact had left her feeling like she was supposed to do something, though she wasn't sure what. The sandwich shop was busy, filled with the usual afternoon crowd of office workers and students. As Lisa stood in line, her mind kept drifting back to the woman on the bench. She found herself glancing out the window every few seconds, making sure she was still there. There was something almost otherworldly about her stillness. Her patience, her way of observing without participating. It was as if she was visiting from somewhere else entirely, trying to understand this strange new place she had found herself in. Lisa placed her order, but her heart wasn't really in it anymore. All she could think about was the woman outside, sitting alone with that expression of quiet desperation hidden behind her composed exterior. Whatever brought her to that bench, Lisa had a feeling it wasn't just a simple wait for the bus or a friend. Lisa ordered her usual turkey sandwich and a bowl of tomato soup, but her mind was somewhere else entirely. The cashier had to repeat the total twice before she snapped back to reality and fumbled for her wallet. Through the large window of the sandwich shop, she could see the woman still sitting on that bench, exactly where she had been 20 minutes ago. The woman hadn't moved even an inch. Her posture was still perfect, her hands still folded in her lap, her eyes still watching the world with that same intense curiosity. It was starting to worry Lisa. Who sits that still for that long? Most people would have checked their phone, adjusted their position, or at least looked around more. But this woman seemed frozen in time. Lisa found a small table by the window and unwrapped her sandwich slowly, taking small bites while keeping her eyes on the mysterious figure outside. The woman's stillness was becoming more unsettling by the minute. It wasn't the relaxed stillness of someone enjoying a peaceful moment. It was the rigid stillness of someone who was trying very hard to hold themselves together. A group of college students walked past the bench, laughing and talking loudly about their weekend plans. Lisa watched as the woman's eyes followed them, and she noticed something that made her stomach tighten. The woman's expression wasn't just curious, it was hungry. Not hungry for food, but hungry for connection, for belonging, for understanding. Lisa had seen that look before. She had seen it on the faces of refugees who came to the community center. People who had lost everything and were trying to rebuild their lives in a place that felt completely foreign. She had seen it on elderly people who had outlived there, friends and family. She had even seen it in the mirror during her own darkest moments when she first moved to the city. The woman was alone. Not just physically alone on that bench, but truly deeply alone in a way that made Lisa's heart ache. Lisa took another bite of her sandwich, but it tasted like cardboard. She couldn't concentrate on eating when someone was sitting right outside, looking like they hadn't eaten in days. Now that she was really looking, she could see how thin the woman was. Her dress hung loosely on her frame. Her face had the hollow look of someone who had been going without proper meals. A businessman in an expensive suit walked by, talking loudly on his phone about stock prices and meetings. The woman watched him with the same intense focus she gave everyone else, but Lisa noticed something different this time. The woman's eyes followed the half-eaten sandwich the man was carelessly carrying, and for just a moment, Lisa saw her swallow hard. That small gesture hit Lisa like a punch to the gut. The woman was hungry, actually physically hungry. And here, Lisa was sitting in a warm restaurant with more food than she could finish, while this mysterious stranger sat outside, possibly starving. Lisa looked down at her sandwich and soup, then back at the woman. Her appetite was completely gone now. How could she sit here eating when someone was right outside, clearly in need? The woman's pride was obvious. She sat with dignity despite her circumstances, never asking for help, never even looking directly at the food people carried past her. But Lisa could see the truth in those quick glances, in the way she held herself so carefully. In the slight tremor in her hands, the lunch crowd was starting to thin out. Lisa realized she had been sitting there for almost 30 minutes. The woman had been on that bench for at least an hour now, possibly longer. Where had she come from? Where was she going? Did she have a place to sleep tonight? Lisa thought about her own life, her comfortable apartment, her steady job, her full refrigerator. She thought about all the times she had thrown away leftover food without thinking about it. She thought about the $20 in her wallet that she had planned to spend on coffee and snacks later. None of it seemed important anymore. The woman shifted slightly, and Lisa held her breath, but she wasn't getting up to leave. She was just adjusting her position, probably because she had been sitting still for so long. As she moved, Lisa noticed something that made her even more concerned. woman winced slightly, as if moving caused her discomfort, whether from hunger, exhaustion, or something else. Lisa couldn't tell. A mother with 2 young children walked by, and Lisa watched the woman's face transform. For just a moment, her careful composure cracked, and Lisa saw such raw longing and sadness that she had to look away. The woman missed someone. She missed home. She missed a life that was far away from this busy street and this lonely bench. Lisa made a decision. She couldn't sit here anymore, pretending not to see what was right in front of her. She couldn't finish her meal in comfort while someone was suffering just outside the window. Whatever this woman's story was, whatever had brought her to this bench, she needed help. And Lisa was going to offer it. She gathered her food, left a tip on the table, and walked toward the door. Her heart was beating fast, and she wasn't sure what she was going to say, but she knew she had to try. Sometimes the most important moments in life happen when we stop overthinking and just follow our hearts. The woman looked up as Lisa approached, and their eyes met again. This time, Lisa didn't look away. She saw recognition there and something else, a flicker of hope that the woman was trying very hard to hide. It was going to be okay. Lisa was going to make sure of it. Lisa's hands were shaking slightly as she pushed open the glass door of the sandwich shop. The cool afternoon air hit her face, and suddenly she wasn't sure what to do with herself. Walking toward the bench felt like the longest walk of her life. Even though it was only about 20 steps away, the woman looked up as Lisa approached, and Lisa was struck again by how unusual her eyes were. They were so dark they were almost black, and they seemed to hold depths that Lisa couldn't even begin to understand. There was intelligence there and kindness, but also a wariness that suggested this woman had learned to be careful about trusting people. "Excuse me," Lisa said softly, stopping a few feet away from the bench. She didn't want to seem threatening or invasive. "Hope you don't mind me asking, but are you okay? You've been sitting here for quite a while?" The woman's posture straightened. Even more if that was possible. She looked at Lisa with those intense eyes, and Lisa could see her weighing her response carefully. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft and musical, with an accent that Lisa couldn't quite place. It wasn't Spanish or French or any of the languages she recognized from her work at the community center. "I am fine, thank you," the woman said, but her voice trembled just slightly on the last word. "That is very kind of you to ask," Lisa noticed. That the woman spoke very formally, choosing her words with great care. English wasn't her first language, that much was clear, but she spoke it well. Still, there was something about the way she constructed her sentences that suggested she was translating thoughts from another language in her head. "I'm Lisa," she said, taking a small step closer. "I work at the community center just down the street. I help people who are new to the city." The woman's eyes flickered with something. Recognition, maybe, or hope. "I am Anna," she replied after a moment's pause. "It is nice to meet you, Lisa." Anna, the name suited her somehow, simple and elegant. Lisa smiled, feeling a little more confident. Now that they had introduced themselves, she gestured toward the empty space on the bench. "Would you mind if I sat down for a moment? I've been on my feet all day." Anna nodded and moved slightly to make room, though she kept her hands folded tightly in her lap. Lisa sat down, leaving a comfortable distance between them, and unwrapped her sandwich. The smell of turkey and fresh bread filled the air, and Lisa didn't miss the way Anna's eyes darted toward the food before quickly looking away. "You know," Lisa said conversationally, "I have this terrible habit of ordering way too much food. I always think I'm hungrier than I actually am, and then I end up wasting half of it." She held up the soup container. "Like this soup. I'm already getting full from the sandwich, but I hate to throw food away." Anna's hands tightened in her lap. "That is wasteful," she agreed quietly. "Where I come from, we do not waste food." "Where are you from?" Lisa asked gently. Anna was quiet for a long moment, staring down at her hands. "Very far away," she said finally. "A place that is very different from here. Everything here is so fast, so loud, so complicated." Lisa nodded, understanding more. Then Anna probably realized. She had heard similar words from dozens of people over the years. People who had come from small villages or war-torn countries. People who found the pace of city life overwhelming and strange. It can be overwhelming, Lisa agreed. When I first moved here, I used to get lost just trying to find the grocery store. Everything felt so big and confusing. Anna looked at her with surprise. You are not from here? No, I grew up in a small town about 3 hours away. Moving to the city was like landing on a different planet sometimes. Lisa took a bite of her sandwich, then looked at the soup again. Anna, I really can't finish all this food. Would you like to share it with me? I'd actually be doing me a favor. I hate wasting food, but I also hate feeling too full. Anna's composure cracked just slightly. Lisa saw her swallow hard, saw her hands tremble. I cannot accept, she whispered. You are too kind, but I cannot. Please, Lisa said softly. It's not charity. It's just sharing. Like you said, it's wasteful to throw food away. And honestly, I could use the company. Eating alone isn't much fun. Anna's eyes filled with tears, though she was clearly trying not to let them fall. I do not have money to pay you back, she said, her voice barely audible. I'm not asking for money, Lisa said. I'm asking for company. There's a difference. Anna stared at the soup container like it was the most precious thing in the world. Lisa could see the internal battle she was fighting. Pride versus need. Dignity versus hunger. It was a battle Lisa had seen before, and she knew how hard it was for someone to accept help when they had been taught to be self-sufficient. When did you last eat? Lisa asked gently. Anna's composure broke entirely. A single tear rolled down her cheek. 3 days ago, she whispered. I had bread and water 3 days ago. Lisa's heart clenched. 3 days. This woman had been sitting on this bench, watching the world go by, while she slowly starved. The strength it must have taken to maintain that dignity, that composure. While her body was crying out for nourishment, Lisa said firmly but kindly, Please let me share this food with you. It's not as charity, but as one person to another. You would do the same for me if our situations were reversed, wouldn't you? Anna nodded slowly, more tears escaping despite her efforts to hold them back. Then please, Lisa said, holding out the soup. Let me do the same for you. Anna's hands trembled as she reached for the soup container. The moment her fingers touched the warm plastic, something inside her completely broke. The tears that she had been fighting so hard to hold back came flooding out, and with them came sounds that Lisa had never heard before, deep, heartbreaking sobs that seemed to come from the very depths of her soul. I'm sorry, Anna gasped between sobs, trying to wipe her eyes with the back of her hand. I'm so sorry. I do not usually. Do not cry like this. Lisa's heart was breaking watching this dignified woman fall apart. She wanted to reach out and comfort her, but she wasn't sure if Anna would welcome the touch. Instead, she moved a little closer on the bench and spoke in the softest voice she could manage. Don't apologize, Lisa said gently. You don't have to be sorry for anything. You're safe now. It's okay to let it out. Anna opened the soup container with shaking hands and took a small, careful sip. The moment the warm broth touched her lips, she closed her eyes and more tears flowed down her cheeks. First taste had reminded her body just how hungry and exhausted she really was. It's so good, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. I had forgotten how good warm food could taste. Lisa broke her sandwich in half and offered Anna a piece. But Anna shook her head. The soup is enough, she said. More than enough. Please, Lisa insisted gently. I really can't eat all of this. You'd be helping me out. Anna accepted the sandwich half with trembling fingers, and Lisa watched as she took small, careful bites. As if she was afraid the food might disappear if she ate too quickly. Between bites, the words started coming out in a rush, like water bursting through a dam. I came here 2 months ago, Anna said, her voice still shaky. I saved money for 3 years to make this trip. Everyone in my village said I was crazy, that I should stay where I knew how things worked. But I wanted to see the world, to find opportunities, to make something of myself. Lisa listened carefully, noting how Anna's accent became more pronounced when she was emotional. Her English was still clear, but the words came out in a rhythm that belonged to another language entirely. I had a plan, Anna continued, taking another sip of soup. I had studied your language, your customs. I thought I understood how things worked here, but everything is so different from what I expected. The job applications, the paperwork, the way people interact. It's all so complicated. Of work were you looking for? Lisa asked gently. Anna's face brightened slightly. I am good with plants, she said. In my village, I helped everyone with their gardens. I know how to make things grow, how to heal plants when they are sick. I thought maybe I could work in one of your garden centers or parks. Lisa felt a surge of hope. She knew several people who worked in landscaping and gardening businesses. This wasn't an impossible dream. It was just a matter of connecting with the right people and helping her navigate the system. But I could not understand the applications, Anna continued, her voice growing smaller. The computers, the websites, the forms that ask for things I do not have. Social security numbers, credit history, references from employers I have never had. I would sit in the library for hours trying to figure out what they wanted. But it was like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. Anna paused to eat more of the sandwich, and Lisa could see some color returning to her pale cheeks. The food was helping, but Lisa could tell there was more to the story. Then my money ran out, Anna said quietly. I had budgeted for 1 month, thinking I would find work quickly, but 1 month became 2, and I still had nothing. I had to leave the small room I was renting. I've been sleeping in the park, trying to stay clean, trying to keep looking for work even though I was getting weaker every day. Lisa felt tears welling up in her own eyes. She had heard stories like this before, but hearing it from Anna, seeing the exhaustion and desperation in her face, made it feel more real and urgent than ever. I was starting to think I had made a terrible mistake, Anna continued. And maybe everyone back home was right, and I should have stayed where I belonged. I was beginning to think that maybe I was not meant for this world, that I was too different, too strange. You're not strange, Lisa said firmly.
You're brave.
Do you know how much courage it takes to leave everything you know and start over somewhere completely new? Most people never have that kind of strength. Na looked at her with surprise, as if she had never thought of herself as brave before. I do not feel brave, she said. I feel lost and scared and very, very tired. That's normal, Lisa assured her. Everyone feels that way when they're starting over. The difference is that you didn't give up, kept trying, even when things got impossible. Anna finished the soup and carefully folded the empty container, as if she wanted to keep it as a reminder of this moment. I was sitting on this bench today, wondering if I should use my last few dollars to buy a bus ticket home, she said. I was thinking that maybe I had been foolish to believe I could make it here. And now, Lisa asked softly. Anna looked at her, with eyes that were still wet with tears, but now held something else, a tiny spark of hope. Now I think maybe I was not wrong to try, she said. Maybe I just needed to find the right person to help me understand how things work here. Lisa watched as Anna carefully wiped her eyes with a tissue from her purse. The color had returned to Anna's cheeks, and though she still looked exhausted, there was something different about her now. The hopelessness that had surrounded her like a dark cloud was starting to lift, replaced by something that looked cautiously optimistic. Annalisa said gently, Tell me more about your village. What was it like growing up there? Anna's face transformed when she talked about home. Her eyes lit up, and her voice took on a warmth that Lisa hadn't heard before. It was a small place, hidden in the mountains, she said. Only about 300 people lived there. Everyone knew everyone else, and we all helped each other. If someone needed food, the whole village would share. If someone was sick, we would all take care of them. Lisa found herself fascinated by Anna's descriptions. The way she talked about her home made it sound like something from a fairy tale. A place where people lived in harmony with nature and each other. But Lisa could also hear the longing in Anna's voice, the deep homesickness that came from being so far away from everything familiar. We had gardens everywhere, Anna continued, her hands moving as she spoke. Every family grew there, own vegetables, and I helped everyone. I could tell just by looking at a plant what it needed. More water, better soil, different light. The older women taught me which herbs could heal different sicknesses, and which ones could be cooked into the most delicious meals. That sounds like an amazing skill, Lisa said. There are definitely people here who would value that kind of knowledge. Anna nodded eagerly. Yes, but here everything is so different. The plants, the soil, the weather. It's all new to me. And the way people do business here, is nothing like what I'm used to. In my village, if you needed work done, you would just ask someone directly. Here, there are applications and interviews and references and so many rules that I don't understand." Lisa was quiet for a moment, thinking. She had been working at the community center for years, helping people navigate exactly these kinds of challenges. She knew the system, knew the people, knew how to make connections. Most importantly, she could see that Anna wasn't just someone looking for handouts. She was someone with real skills who just needed guidance. Annalisa said slowly, "I think I might be able to help you, but first I need to ask you something important. Do you have anywhere safe to sleep tonight?" Anna's face fell slightly. "I've been sleeping in the park," she admitted. "There is a bench near the pond that is hidden by trees. I try to get there before dark and leave early in the morning, so no one sees me." Lisa's heart clenched. The idea of Anna sleeping alone in the park, vulnerable and afraid, was unbearable. "No," she said firmly. "That's not safe, especially for someone who's been weakened by not eating. You're coming home with me tonight?" Anna's eyes widened. "I cannot ask you to do that," she said quickly. "You have already done so much for me. I do not want to be a burden." "You're not asking," Lisa said with a smile. "I'm offering. And you're not a burden, you're someone who needs help, and I'm someone who can provide it. That's what people do for each other." Anna looked at her with an expression of wonder, as if she couldn't quite believe that someone would show her such kindness. "In my village we have a saying," she said softly. "When someone shares their food with a stranger, they are sharing their heart. I will never forget what you have done for me today." Lisa felt tears prick her own eyes. "And I'll never forget meeting you," she said. "You know, I've been working at the community center for 3 years, helping people find jobs and places to live. But I've never met anyone quite like you. There's something special about you, Anna. Something that tells me you're going to do amazing things here." Anna smiled, and it was the first real smile Lisa had seen from her. It transformed her entire face, making her look younger and more hopeful. "Maybe you were right," she said. "Maybe I just needed to find the right person to show me the way." Lisa stood up and extended her hand to Anna. "Come on," she said. "Let's get you somewhere safe and warm. Tomorrow, we'll start figuring out how to get you connected with the right people. I know someone who runs a plant nursery, and another person who does landscaping for the city. We'll find you work that matches your skills." Anna took Lisa's hand and stood up, moving carefully as if she was still getting used to having food in her stomach again. "I do not know how to thank you," she said. "You don't need to thank me," Lisa replied. "Just promise me that when you're settled and doing well, you'll remember this feeling. And if you ever meet someone who needs help the way you needed help today, you'll be the person who stops and offers to share their meal." Anna nodded solemnly. "I promise," she said. "This is not something I will ever forget." As they walked down the street together, Lisa realized that this day had changed her as much as it had changed Anna. She had been reminded of the power of simple human kindness, of how one small act of compassion could completely transform someone's life. And she had gained something too, a new friend. Someone who would help her see the world through different eyes. The afternoon sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new obstacles to overcome. But tonight, neither of them would be alone. Tonight, they would face the future together. Two people from different worlds who had found each other at exactly the right moment. As they walked, Anna began to tell Lisa more stories about her village, about the festivals they celebrated, and the traditions they kept. Lisa listened with fascination, already beginning to see how Anna's unique background and skills could be valuable in ways that Anna herself didn't even realize yet. This was just the beginning of their story together, Lisa realized. It was going to be a beautiful one,